sentiment I've heard more and more over the last couple of years, and it's usually expressed along the lines of ideas don't matter. Execution is what counts. People might complain that they came up with the idea for Airbnb way before it hit the market. Some of them might have even written a business plan, but they never did anything about it, and that's why Brian Chesky is worth $9.4 billion, and they're not. Now, if execution is what counts, then it's worrying to note that research has shown that only 44% of business leaders are confident in their company's ability to implement strategy effectively, and only 2% are confident that they'll achieve over 80% of their strategic objectives. Harvard Business Review have estimated that 67% of well-formulated strategies fail due to poor execution. And studies conducted by Gartner show that 58% of organizations feel that their performance management systems are insufficient for measuring performance. I mean, that's got to beg the question, what are they there for? So having a great strategy is all well and good, but the core of your role as a CEO is in driving the execution of that strategy, which is why I chose it as the third of my key areas of focus to become a brilliant CEO. Now, everything that everyone in your business does every day must move you closer to your overall objectives, even if those objectives are 10 years down the line. Otherwise, you're just wasting time that will add up and eventually result in failure. So the first part of executing your strategy is creating a golden thread that runs from your overall corporate objectives right through to the specific work that each person is working on every day. That involves working back from the end goal, establishing milestones that become more and more detailed as they get closer. From the overall objective, which for the sake of argument, the 10-year goal, although your timelines might be different, determine where you then need to be in 3 years' time. 3 years tends to work well because it's long enough to make significant progress, but not so long that it feels intangible. From there, work back to ensure clear targets for the next 12 months, for the company, for each department and team, and for each individual. Then take those down to 90-day outcomes. Then what needs to be done this month, this week, and eventually today. And at every point on your golden thread, you must ensure that you're setting SMART goals. SMART standing for specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-bound, that become more detailed as the timelines decrease. SMART goals, or those created with similar frameworks, have been consistently shown to significantly improve performance in businesses of all sizes from all sectors. But a common mistake made by leaders is setting the SMART goals and then leaving it there, expecting results. And this is particularly true in sales teams. Think of the sales director telling their team, "It's easy, guys. All we need to do is make 20% more calls." And at the root of this is often an assumption that people just need to try harder. A more productive way to approach your goals, either individually or as a team though, is to start by assuming that people are already trying as hard as they can, and so they need different tactics in order to succeed. Because if you do the same things, you'll usually get the same results. So in the example above, the key question to ask is, what will you do differently to allow you to make 20% more calls? The answers are often already within grasp, especially if you're dealing with people who have solid experience in their roles. The challenge is breaking out of automatic thinking. An approach that I've found useful, once a SMART goal is defined, is to set aside a specific amount of time to make a plan. If it's a small goal, you might make it 15 minutes, while a bigger goal might need an hour or two. And spend that time thinking of as many things as you can possibly do that can help you to achieve that goal. Don't stop until the time has elapsed, even if you feel like you're running out of steam. I've often found actually that the most creative and impactful ideas have come to me right at the end of these sessions, where I've been sat drawing blanks for 20 or 30 minutes. Then one idea comes, the floodgates open, and you surprise yourself with what comes out. Now, when the time's up and you have a list of actions, choose 3, 4, 5 of them based on a balance of what's most likely to succeed, what will have the biggest impact, and what will take the least effort. Go and execute those things, and if they don't work, come back to your list and choose some more, because you should have plenty at this point. Now, no plan survives contact with the enemy, so there's a pretty good chance that your first approach will need adjusting. The only way to tell if what you're doing is working is to measure it, and so that's what you need to do. Taking some time to define how you'll do that is crucial. Sometimes the indicators will be easy to spot. Are you booking more meetings? Getting more visitors to your website? Are you scheduling more investment calls? Or are you generating better data? Others can be trickier and need to be done by proxy. But ultimately, to measure something, you need to be able to boil it down to a number or at least a yes-no answer. So if your plan's working, what would you expect to change? And even better, what are the leading indicators that show you're moving in the right direction? So for example, in our business development team at Singular, we don't just look at the sales number at the end of the month, but we go right back to how many proactive contacts we've made, what percentage of those contacts have turned into meetings, how many proposals we've ended up sending from those meetings, and what proportion of those proposals we've sent we've won. Now these metrics give us both an absolute number and a conversion ratio that allow us to see quickly if we're moving forward or not. The more granular you can be, the better you'll be able to identify where the problems you need to solve are. So get measuring. And if you find you're not making the progress you want to, change your plan. What parts of it are working? Which parts aren't, and therefore need a different approach? Because gradual, regular adjustment will hugely increase your chances of success. And then when you feel you have the right plan and it's being executed well, the job's not over. In fact, that's the time to redouble your efforts and find ways to accelerate what you're doing. Once you're on track to achieve your objective, ask yourself, if I had to hit this goal in half the time, how would I do it? Never get comfortable and complacent when it comes to execution. There is always a better, more effective way. When what you're doing is working, your task is to figure out how to do it even better. And when you're trying to achieve something substantial or difficult, bear in mind that you won't always make the progress you'd like in the time frame that you expect. Even if you get off to a good start, the chances are that something will happen that will blow you off course or set you back. And your job as a CEO is to maintain focus, stay calm, grit your teeth and keep moving forward. Pick up your team when they stumble or get distracted and usher them gently or forcefully back to the right path. When you hit a dead end, find a new way. Keep your eyes on the end goal and push on. Now, Edison said it far better than I can. Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time.